Hello Year 5 and welcome to our latest maths lesson. Today we're going to continue looking at multiplication of 2-digit by 2-digit numbers. Last week we looked at using the area model, so we're just going to move on from there and look a bit at using grid method, which is very similar to the area model, just without the use of base 10 representation, so without the use of pictures. Just using numbers, Arabic numbers, which are normal numbers, and then moving on to using long multiplication. So as per usual, we have a couple of warm-up questions. So if you pause the video and just have a go at doing those two questions using column method, and then I'll be back with you shortly to tell you the answers, and you can see if you've got the correct answers. If not, maybe just check through your working, make sure you've lined up your columns correctly, and have another go. So I'm going to suggest you pause the video now and have a go at those, and then come back to the video. Right, let's have a look at those answers. So the first answer is 90,668, and the second answer is 85,184. So well done if you got those. If you didn't, just remember to check through your working, maybe do it again. Just be really careful to make sure that you are putting things in the right place value columns and you are exchanging when you need to exchange. Okay, so we've got another little warm up here, so we should be used to this by now. So this is countdown. We have our target number of 252, and then we have our 6 numbers that you can use once each using addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So have a go at that, pause the video, see if you can reach the target. There are quite a few ways that you can reach the target today. I'm going to share one of my methods with you after you restart the video. Okay, hopefully you reached that target or got really close. So I'm just going to move on to show you one of my methods. So I did 100 minus 75, which is 25. I then multiplied my 25 by 10, which is 250. And then all I needed to do was add 2. So you can see that I only used 4 of those original numbers. So 10, 75. So 100, 75, 10, and 2. So the 4 and the 7 were left over. So there were other methods, and maybe you use them. Okay, these are our warm-up questions. So as per usual, I suggest you pause the video and have a go, but just before you do that, see if you can notice. So this is the first question, which is 3 times 8, and in question 1 you also have 30 times 8. So once you've figured out 3 times 8, see if there is a way that you can easily work out 30 times 8 without having to use short multiplication. Same goes with this question. You've got 6 times 7, and then you've got 6 times what? 120, see if there's any links between those. And these questions you might want to use grid method, which I said is very like area model that we used, however you're just putting the digits in. So give that a go, pause the video, and then come back to see how you did. Right, let's have a look at these questions. So we have 3 times 8, and if we go through our 3s or our 8s, we get that 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 8 is 10 times smaller than 30 times 8. So 30 times 8 needs to be, the answer needs to be 10 times bigger than this. And we know that 10 times 24 is 240, because everything, if you're timesing it by 10, moves one place value column over to the left. So the 10s go to the hundreds, the 1s go to the 10s, and you put your 0 in the 1s because there's nothing in there. Then we know that 6 times 7, because we know our 6s or we know our 7s is 42. So 6 times something is 420. And if we look at this answer, we'll see that 420 is 10 times bigger than this, which means part of this needs to be 10 times bigger here to get a 10 times bigger answer. The 6 is the same, which means the 7 has to be 10 times bigger to get this answer that's 10 times bigger. So the answer has to be 6 times 70 equals 420. Okay, here we've got 22 times 13, so I'm going to show you how to put this into our grid. So we separate our 20 and our 2, we separate our 10 and our 3, and then we work out the answers for these boxes, and then we add them up. So the first one is 20 times 10. 10 times bigger than 20 is 200, because everything moves over one place value to the column to the left. So the 20, if I just put a little place value column here. So I've got my 10s and my 1s. Just a quick reminder, your two 10s are 10 times bigger. It's going to become 200, because 20 times 10 is 200. And then you have zeros in your 10s, your 1s columns to represent that you've got nothing in there anymore. Okay, so next we should have 2 times 10, which is 20. We know that from our 2s and our 10 times tables. We can also do that using the method that we've been working on quite a lot recently. So 10 times bigger, move it 1 over to the left, 2 in the 10s column, 0 in the 1s, 20. Then we look at 20 times 3. And if we wanted to make that a bit easier, we could think of 3 times 2, which is 6, then times it by 10. So then we get our 60. Or we might just know that 3 times 20 is 60. So there's different ways you can approach that again. If you do get stuck, look for ways to make it easier for yourselves. And then same question more or less again, we've got 3 times 2 or 2 times 3, which we know is 6. We then know that we need to add those up, and we get 286, because you've got 200s, you've got 60 at 20, which is 80, and then you've got 6. So 200 plus 80 plus 6 is 286. If you use the grid method again to do 22 times 14, you could use it again, or you could just notice that there's one extra lot of 22 in here. So using this answer, all you have to do is add 22 here. So you'd get 6 plus 2 is 8. 80 add 20, which is 100, 0 in the 10s. 1 in the 100, you exchange your 10 tens 100, and then 200 add 100 is 308. So you could work it all out again using the grid method or the area model, or you could just notice those questions are very, very similar, and all you have to do is add one extra lot of 22. Okay, let's move on. So moving on to do our 2 by 2 digit learning again. So just going over it a bit more and using the long multiplication method. Okay, so we're going to continue to use our grid method here. So let's set that out, 23 times 31. So we just partitioned that into our 10s and our 1s. We know that 3 times 2 is 6. If you times that by 10 to make it 30 times 2, you can get 60, and then we times it by 10 again. 60 times 10 is 600. We then have to do 30 times 3. 3 times 3 is 90, times it by 10. Sorry, 3 times 3 is 9, times it by 10. You get 90. Then we have one lot of 20, which we know is 20, and we have one lot of 3, which we know is 3. So if we add those together, we get 600s. 90 plus 20 is 110, so we have to exchange, put another 100 in there, and we're left with 10. Or 1 in the 10s column, and then 3, so it's going to be 713. Okay, if we look at that again in the long multiplication method, we have first of all to do 3 times 1, which we know is 3. So we're going through our 1s first. We're going to use this number to multiply by this one, and then by the 10s. So 2 10s times 1 is 20. So we put our 20 in there, so we've got 23. Then we're going to move on to our 10s column. So we have 30 times 3, which is 90. Got a 90 straight in, because remember we're doing our 10s now. So the 0, we have to represent our 0 and our 1s column, so 90. Then we can look at 30 times 20, and we've already worked that out. It is 600, so our 600s can go in, and then you are right, we need to add those together. So 3 add 0 is 3, 2 10s add 9 10s is 11 10s, or you could say 20 add 90 is 110. we carry or exchange, sorry, our 10 tens to make 100. We put our 110 in there, and then we do 600, add 100 is 713 altogether. So you can just see there's two different methods there, exactly the same answer. There might be one you prefer, there might not. We're going to move towards using this method a bit more, but when you get stuck sometimes it's always okay to fall back on some methods that we've used before and you found helpful. So just think back to that if you get stuck using long multiplication. Just checking something very quickly. So it's the same sum. I thought I was losing my mind a little bit there. So it is the same sum. Forgot I put that in there. So it's 23 times 31. Here we are. We're just going to put in our sums to the side. So we have our 23 times 1 on the first line and our 23 times 30 on the second line. So that's just to show you how it's been divided up to timesing by this one. So 1 times 3 and 1 times 20 for this line, and 30 times 3 and 30 times 20 for the second line. So that's just dividing up a little bit more. So it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so we have another question here, which is 41 times 26. So let's go through this one. So we can pause the video here and see if you can figure out how to work this one out. So it's a great idea actually. So if you pause the video and attempt that question, obviously if you get stuck whilst you're attempting that question, just come back to the video and play it and work through it. But it might be a good idea here to just have a go at that question and then come back to the video to see if you got it right, or to see if there's anywhere you made a little error which you just need to correct to get the correct answer. Okay, so we're going to work through 41 times 26. So let's go. So we've got 41 times 26. We need to do our ones column first. So we are doing 41 times 6. So 6 times 41 first. The first thing we need to do is the ones column. So we're doing 6 times 1, or 1 times 6, which we know is 6. Then we need to do the tens column. So 6 times 4 tens, or 40 times 6, which is 240 or 24 tens. So we need to exchange our 20 tens or our 200s and put them into the hundreds column. We need to put our 40s straight in. And there's nothing more to do in that hundreds column, so that 2 can go in properly. So 41 times 6 is 246. Now we have to do the next part, which is multiplying the tens. So we now have 41 times 20. So we're doing this digit here times this one, and then this digit here times this one. Okay, so there's different ways that you can do this. If you are moving on to the tens column, what a lot of us like to do is to put what we call a placeholder in the ones column. That's just to show that you know the ones columns are finished with. You're not going to get any more ones by timesing the tens column, so you can put a 0 in there. That also makes it easier, because then rather than 20 times 1 and 20 times 40, you can think of it as 2 times 1 and 2 times 4. So it makes it a little bit easier. Or if you prefer, you can carry on with the 20 times 1 and the 20 times 40. It depends which way you like to look at it. So I've put my placeholder in there. Now we're going to do 2 times 1, which we know is 2. Then we have to do the next column over, which is 2 times 40. 20 times 40, sorry, is 800. So 2 times 4 over to hundreds column is 8. So then what we do is we add them together. So we get our 6 add 0 is 6. 4 tens add 2 tens is 6 tens. 2 hundreds add 8 hundreds is 10 hundreds, or 200 add 800 is 1000. So the answer is 1066. Okay, so we have Tiny the Turtle back here, and he is saying that the answer to 32 times 46 is 320. So if you pause the video and have a look at Tiny's working out, can you see what or see if you agree with him. If you do, fantastic, that's your opinion. If you do not, why do you not agree with Tiny that the answer is 320? So have a little pause, look at his working and see what you think. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide now, so let's have a look if he was right or wrong. Okay, so the first line shows 32 times 6. And the second line, we have to see if it's 32 times 4. Hang on a minute, that 4 is in the tens column. So it should not be 32 times 4. It should be 32 times 40. And we know that 32 times 40 is 10 times bigger than 32 times 4. So those all need to move one column over to the left, and we put a 0 into our place value column, the ones place value column. So well done if you figured that out. Let me just adding them up. Sorry, I rushed through that a little bit. Let me go back. Okay, so then we get 2 add 0, 0. Going wrong. 2 add 0 is 2. 9 tens add 8 tens is 17 tens. So we're exchanging the 10 tens to 100. We have 100 add 200 is 300 plus the 100 we've exchanged is 400. Then we have 1000 add nothing. It's 1000. So the answer is 1472. Okay, so I've just put an extra question in here so you can see my working process. So I'll just make sure I've got my pen here. So I'm going to do, let's do it nice and high just in case I don't have enough room. So I'm going to do 34 times 23. Just going to put my answer box here. So what you might like to do is pause the video and work through that question and see what you get, and then compare it to what I get. And then if you don't get it right, just watch through the video again and see if there's a little step you got wrong. And if you did, then well done. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is our ones. So we're going to have to do 3 times 4, and then 3 times 30, or 3 times 3 tenths, depending on which way you like to think of it. So we have 3 times 4, or 4 times 3. I know that's 12, so I'm going to put 2 in my ones column and a 1 underneath my tens. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to put my columns up here. Takes some getting used to typing or writing with a mouse. Let me see if this works. Just want to get rid of that bit. Get my pen back. So we're back to 34 times 23. I've done 3 times 4. Now I need to do 3 times 3 tens, or 3 times 30. I know that 3 lots of 30 is 90, or that 3 times 3 tens is 9 tens, which is 90. So if I put my 9 in there, I know I'm going to have to add my 1. 90 add 10 is 100. So I'm going to have to put 0 tens in there and exchange my 10 tens over to my hundreds column. So I don't have any hundreds left to do to multiply with my 3 ones. So I'm going to bring this 100 up. So for 3 times 34, I've got the answer 102. I am just going to get rid of these 2 because they might get in the way of the next bit. So I've done that first part, which is my 3 times 34. Now I'm going to do 20 times 34. So I'm just going to put a 0, what I call a placeholder, in my ones column, because I know it's 100% guaranteed I'm not going to get any ones here. If I'm timesing 10 by something, I'm not going to end up with anything in the ones column, so I can put my 0 in there straight away. Then I can do 20 times 4, which is 80. Some of us might like to think of it as 2 tens times 4, which is 8 tens. Put that 8 in there. And then the next bit, still working with our tens, we've got 2 tens times 3 tens. So if we do 3 times 2 tens, that'll be 60. And then I have to times it by the 10 again, it'll be 600. So I've got my 680 here. And then what I need to do, so there was just 2 times 3 if you're thinking of a little shortcut some of you have told me about before. What I need to do then is add it up. I've got my 2 plus 0 is 2, 0 add 80, or 0 add 8 tens, 8 tens. Then I have 100 plus 600 is 700. So pause the video and see if you think I've gone through that correctly, or have I made some mistakes? And then I'm going to move on to the next bit. Let me know if you think anything's gone wrong there, or if you think I'm 100% correct. Right, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this here says, and we have done this before, so if you would like to have a little break from the video now, you could have a go at questions 1 to 4 on the worksheet, but if you want to just carry on listening, get the video done and dusted in one go, then just carry on. There's not much long left. There's not long left now. I think there's one more question to go through. Okay, so this one is a slightly different question. So this is a problem solving question. So the question here, Tommy wants to find the area of the blue part of the rectangle. So you can see here we've got 35 width times 16 length, or 16 height. However, we have 2 rectangles here that have been cut out of the blue bit. So we need to take that into account when we're working out the area that is shaded blue, because it's not just 35 times 16, because we've got these 2 bits here that cut out. So let's make sure we think about that when we're working this question out. So to work out the area of this rectangle, just tell yourself what you think you need to do. Okay, so the first bit is we're going to have to do 35 times 16. So we're going to have to do our width times our length, or our width times our height. So one side multiplied by the other, 35 times 16. So first thing we need to do is 6 times 5. Well, 6 times 35 is the ones, and 6 times 5 is the first part of that. 6 times 5 is 30, or 5 times 6 is 30 if you prefer to do it that way. Then we have 6 times 30, or 3 times 6. 6 times 3 tens is 18 tens, plus 3 tens is 21 tens, or 180 plus 30 is 210. Then we're going to move on to our tens column. So I'm going to put a 0 there. So we're doing 35 times 10. I know I'm not going to get any ones, so I'm going to put my placeholder in there. Then I'm going to do my 10 times 5. 5 lots of 10 is 50. Then I've got 10 lots of 30. So 30 times 10 is 300. Then what do I need to do? I do indeed need to add them together. So I'm going to start. Where do we think I start? Which side? Which column? Yeah, I need to start my ones column. So 0 ones and 0 ones. 0, 1 10 and 5 tens, or 10 at 50 is 60. 200 and 300 is 500. So the answer for 35 times 16 is 560. Tell yourself if you think we're finished yet or not. Okay, so look at that again. We haven't taken those into account yet. So we worked out what the blue bit would be if it hadn't had these 2 rectangles cut out. However, these 2 rectangles have been cut out, so we need to take account of that. See if you notice anything about the area of those 2 rectangles that are cut out. Do they look similar at all? Right, let's work out one of them. So let's look at this one here. So we have 12 high by 7 wide. So we need to do 12 times 7. We could use short multiplication. However, we know our times tables and we know that 7 times 12 is 84. Or you could know that 7 times 10 is 70, plus 2 more lots of 7, which is 14. So 70 and 14 is 84. You've got 2 of those and they're exactly the same size as each other. So 84 times 2, or 84 plus 84, is 168. What do you think you need to do now? So you had an area, if they weren't cut out, would be 560 centimetre squares. However, you've cut out something that's the size of 168 centimetre squares. So you could say you've taken away 168 from the full area. So what is your calculation? Well done. If you said it should be 560, take away 168, and if you work that out using your column method, you will get 392 centimetres squared. So very well done if you got that. Okay, so your activity has been set for you on Teams and on Tapestry. On Monday, the internet likes to have some issues with Teams and Tapestry. I think a lot of people upload their things there. I'm going to upload this tonight, Sunday night, so hopefully it will all be there ready to go and uploaded. Very much hoping that we don't have the issues that we have had on Mondays before, just because the sheer volume of people on there. Let me know how it goes. Check your answers with the answer sheet. Let us know if you have any problems and we'll talk to you about it on the live feedback sessions. I hope you're all well and I will speak to you soon. Thank you very much.